Mall of America. It's home to world-class shopping, great dining, and amazing attractions and events. And these are our stories, presented by Bloomington, Minnesota Travel and Tourism. Welcome to So Much More. I am Jill Renslow, your host for today's show, joined by my co-host, Dan Jasper. Dan, how are you?
I'm great, Jill. How you doing?
Good. Are you ready to talk a little baseball today?
I am. Take me out to the ball game.
Well, our guest today is someone who has helped shape the history and story of baseball in Minnesota and far beyond. Dave St. Peter joined the Minnesota Twins as an intern in 1990 and rose through the ranks in communications and business leadership. He became president in 2002 and chief executive officer in 2016, guiding the team to multiple postseason appearances, major community initiatives, and landmark events like the 2014 MLB All-Star Game. So under his leadership, the Twins developed Target Field, partnered with the St. Paul Saints, launched the Go Twins, Go Green Sustainability Program, and expanded the Twins Community Fund. Wow, he is dedicated to the game and community and has earned the Twins national recognition. And Dave himself just recently earned a spot in the Twin Cities Business Hall of Fame. Congratulations and welcome, Dave, to the podcast.
Well, Jill, it is great to be with you. And yeah, most of that's true, I think. But I recently stepped out of the president CEO role and kind of have 1 foot in, 1 foot out and thinking about what's next in my journey. But really honored to be on the show here today.
That's awesome. Well, they're lucky to have your 1 foot in still because you have so much knowledge, skill, and history with the Twins and also with Mall of America. We've loved all the things that you've done with us over the years. You've brought some really fun events. We're going to get to that because we love connecting with sports fans. We see so much commonality between the generational excitement around sports and with Mall of America. So we find that when we do those events and special promotions together, it's a win-win for everybody.
No doubt. The people that flock to Mall of America, many of those same people flock to Target Field.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of common ground.
Absolutely. You're outside, we're inside, but it's a good balance of both. So let's get started. Tell us your story. You went from intern to CEO within an organization that is a cornerstone of Minnesota.
Yeah, well, I had a blessed run with the Twins. I grew up in North Dakota, Bismark to be specific, and very average middle-class family. Went away to college at the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks. Good hockey school, Jill, if you follow college hockey.
Of course.
And, during that time in Grand Forks, decided, I would like to pursue a career in sports communications and never for a second thought that it would lead me to the Twins. It first led me to the North Stars as an intern in 1989, and then I came to the Twins as an intern in 1990, and really with one focus, to work in the sports comm side of the world. And I ultimately was able to find that role. In my second job, I managed a pro shop in between, but in February of 92, I was named communications manager, and I probably would have been really happy just working in communications the rest of my career. I was tapped on the shoulder a few times and given additional responsibility, and that ultimately led me to the president's office in 2002. So blessed journey, a lot of really significant milestones, many ups, a few downs, but really proud of the work we accomplished, the team we built. And ultimately, I think the mark of any president CEO is how do you leave the organization compared to the way you found it? And by every measure, the Twins were in a better spot when I stepped away than when I stepped into it. And I feel proud of that.
And you should be very proud. It's been amazing to watch your journey and become a great leader, not only for the Twins, but for our community at large, because you've really put in a footprint here that will be a legacy forever.
Well, I always took it very serious that when you're working for the Twins, it's really a public trust, right? And everybody cares about it. There's an emotional connection to the Twins. I think there's an emotional connection for people with Mall of America as well. And that's not something to be taken for granted. So I tried to weave that into every decision we made, tried to weave that into the way we motivated our team, both on the field and off the field. And most importantly, the way we engaged in community, because I think there's an obligation to give back because we're asking the community to support us each and every season. Some years are championship seasons, some years sadly are not. But the community is asked to be there every year. And from a community outreach perspective, I used to preach that can never go into a slump. We can never have a bad year with our community outreach. And I'm proud of this to say that we were able to really expand that footprint over time and give back more and hopefully have a bigger impact.
I think that's a common thread for a lot of Minnesota companies, and I think you've been a champion in that space. So I would love for you to talk more about the community, the Twins Community Foundation, your magic moments, and the other special stories that you could share with those initiatives.
Well, from a Twins Community Fund perspective, that was actually a 501c3 started in 1991, I think, from the sale of Homer Hankies when we won the World Series in 91. And, now it's grown to be a multi-million-dollar, organization annually that's giving away dollars across the 5-state area. But it's really focused on largely the growth of the games of baseball and softball, with a belief that kids can learn a lot from playing baseball and softball. Our game is rooted in failure. The best hitters fail 7 out of 10 times. There's a lot of life skills with putting on a glove or taking an at-bat, and we're trying to make sure that every kid across Twins territory has that opportunity to play. We also spend a lot of time on renovating fields. We believe baseball fields. Target Field is a great example. Metropolitan Stadium, which used to sit right here where we're sitting today, are great examples. Ballparks bring community together. And that's true whether you're in Minneapolis or Bloomington or in St. Paul, but it's also true in Fargo and in Sioux Falls and in Wilmer and St. Cloud. So we invest in ballparks and renovations with the thought that they are the center of community within those regions. And I would just say that, the community outreach for us has been easy. We've got great assets like Target Field. We also have had great players who have not only been great on the field, but have been really wonderful off the field. And whether that be Harmon Killebrew or Rod Carew or Kirby Puckett or Kent Herbeck or today Byron Buxton and Royce Lewis, Pablo Lopez, we've been really blessed to have good people wearing our uniform. And I think that's made a difference over the years as well.
Absolutely.
One of the things I love about the Twins Community Fund and the Minnesota Twins in general, talking about community outreach, is not only that you try to grow the love of ball throughout the greater Midwest, but you make it accessible. Just a couple weeks ago, we had the U.S. Wheelchair World Series here at Mall of America, and you were one of the sponsors of that.
Yeah, I think the Rolling Twins have won like 23 national championships, but
and they're awesome.
And they are,
so
and
cool.
It is a cool event and really gifted athletes. And that story just needs to continue to be told because there's future generations that will also have that opportunity, and we're going to continue to double and triple down on that. So yeah, we've been proud partners of the Rolling Twins through Courage Kenny for a long, long time, and will continue to be. And thank you to Mall of America for hosting this year's World Series.
It was fantastic. Dan and I went out to watch the athletes multiple times. I mean, they are so competitive, so skilled. It was fantastic. We were cheering on the Twins, of course, because they were reigning champs. And it was just so fun to see the excitement and the inspiration that they were giving, not only to their families, but other fans, and just really enjoying the weekends. We were thrilled to host.
many moons ago, when I was younger and in quite a bit better shape, I was given the opportunity to get into a chair as an able-bodied person and try to participate. And I will tell you, I had no chance. And you learn to really respect the athleticism and the talent, just the elite skill of some of these athletes. The Twins have been really proud to be a partner.
Well, you have a beautiful new stadium downtown Minneapolis.
15 years old now. It's
okay,
not
well,
quite
it
as
still
new.
feels new. I mean, it was built. It's 15 years already.
Yeah, actually,
that is crazy.
This was our 16th season.
That is crazy because it feels so new, and it is. I mean, it was built beautifully, and I think all Minnesotans are proud of it. But talk to us about that project. I mean, those stadium projects are massive, and they take years in the making. So talk a little bit about your involvement with that and really what you learned through that process.
Well, I played a significant role on the shaping the approval of Target Field from a public-private funding perspective, but then also played maybe more of a lead role relative to the design of Target Field and the opening of Target Field. And I always look back on that 10-year period as saying it was probably in some ways the most exhilarating and exhausting period of my Twins tenure, and I would never want to do it over again. But there's a lot of it I frankly miss. I partnered with Jerry Bell on the legislative process. Jerry was my predecessor as president, and learned a lot from Jerry around the art of the deal, relationship building, and just how to be a true statesperson at the legislature, where you're currying support from both Democrats and Republicans. And the Twins were very much a nonpartisan issue, right? But it took us 10 years to have a viable plan that would actually meet muster with the legislature. And I really give Hennepin County and County Commissioner Mike Opat and his colleagues credit for having that courage to step forward. But that plan passed the legislature in May of 2006, and driving home that morning, it was 5 a.m. and you're kind of foggy, you're ecstatic because this thing passed, but you're also, it dawns on you, oh my, we got to build a ballpark now. So it was also a bit daunting, but it was awesome. We toured all kinds of parks around the country, learned a lot, learned what they did right, but more importantly, I always say learned what they did wrong. Mm-hmm. And Target Field was really the product of the site it was built on, 8.5 acres. We had to build a 12-acre ballpark on 8.5 acres. It forced the design team to do things here they wouldn't otherwise have done, which all accrued to the more intimate experience. And then the Pohlad family really doubled down on trying to take a ballpark that would have been good with the base budget, but making it great. And a lot of investment in aesthetics, a lot of investments in fan amenities and things that are just, kind of made it a great ballpark. And we've taken care of it over the last 15 years. It does look new. I agree with you. It's in good shape. But I'm also excited that we're spending more and more time now thinking about Target Field 2.0. What will this look like over the next 15 to 20 to 30 years, with the belief that this is a 100-year ballpark? Fenway Park, Wrigley Field have been around for more than 100 years. Why can't Target Field be around that long? If that's going to be the case, we're going to need to continue to invest in it.
So, Dan, I know you've been down at Target Field often. What's your favorite part?
My favorite part is we walk in from like the parking ramp area, that main conveyor area, and walking in with my grandkids, because then that opens up to the green grass and everything as you see the ballpark. It's kind of this theatrical...
The grand reveal.
Grand reveal,
Yes.
exactly. And watching the kids' eyes, and not just my grandkids, but all the kids, and then the big glove out front and stuff. But the welcoming feeling you have for families and for children, for me, that's the most important part.
Yeah. So when we played in the Metrodome for 28 years, it was a very interior experience. Nobody could see in and nobody could see out. So what Dan's talking about, very deliberately, Target Field was designed in a way where people could see in. And actually, even when there's not a game being played, people can come right up to those gates and look into the ballpark and see what might be going on. And I think it's just much more accessible. But I appreciate you sharing that, because that was actually one of the architect's hopes, is that people would see it just the way you did.
It worked.
Well, you've also hosted some big events there beyond the Twins games. You had the MLB All-Star Game, NHL Winter Classic. Talk a little bit about those and how important those big events are for a community.
Well, much like Mall of America, when you form a public-private partnership to build a facility, yes, it's the home of the Twins, and yes, we want to play 81+ Major League Baseball games there every year, hopefully games in October, World Series games. But you also have an obligation to ensure community access. So part of that is major events, whether that be the All-Star Game or the Winter Classic, but we also think it's the best outdoor concert venue in the upper Midwest.
I would totally agree with that.
We've had some great shows in the past, and we'll have great shows in the future. But it goes beyond that. We've had the Heart Walk every year since 2010, which is one of the largest fundraisers in the upper Midwest. We've done all kinds of other charitable fundraisers and dinners and galas and other events on the field. And then, we always hope that Target Field is a community ballpark and is part of the way we connect with community. So I think that's an obligation. And it's something that we also, frankly, lean into as a business perspective.
It's a great venue for concerts. We go frequently and we've lucked out with great weather when we've went. But huge country music fans, so obviously there's been a lot of country music.
Yeah, we
artists
need
that
to
have
have
been
more country. It's funny. The first 3 or 4 concerts in the building were not country. We got criticized, or actually, we're all country. We got criticized for having too much country. Now I want country back, and we're working on it. Kenny Chesney and
Zac
Jason
Brown
Aldean,
Band,
Zach Brown
multiple
Band,
times.
Luke Bryan. They've all played Target Field to sell out crowds, and I expect we'll have more country in the future. For you, Jill, we'll work on that.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Well, we have to dial back time and talk about the history of the mall and Metropolitan Stadium. Dan has many references in his tours while guests are here behind the scenes. We still have home plate in front of Rock Bottom Plunge where SpongeBob has his roller coaster, and also the Harmon Killebrew chair for the longest home run hit in the stadium. So talk a little bit about the history, because I know that you had a glimpse and have had some stories to share around the history of baseball here in Bloomington.
The history of the Twins is something that has been really important to me during my tenure with the Twins. And as I became the president of the club, I made celebrating that history a bit of a priority for the club. And because I think it's important. I think many of our fans, young and old, connect to baseball because of the history of baseball. It's richer than any other sport. Obviously Metropolitan Stadium, I had the benefit as a kid to be thrown in the back of a station wagon and said, we're going to Minneapolis for the weekend, and we would come to a Twins game. So I got to go to the old Met for a few games, and I have fond memories of that time. Went to Met Center for a North Stars game or two. And, this place is filled with Twins history, the home plate, and obviously Harmon's home run. The Twins and the mall have enjoyed a great relationship over the years. I mean, this mall opened in 91, right? That
92.
was 91, 92, pretty good year. I remember the famed Planet Hollywood grand opening, which many of our players were at. Kirby Puckett would have his annual pool tournament here year after year after year, which raised millions of dollars for Children's HeartLink. We once hosted Twins Fest here, which is our biggest major fundraiser for the Twins Community Fund. I think 1997. Twins Fest was here on Friday night with all of our players, past and present, which was a lot of fun. And then more recently, we went through a rebrand on the field and prior to the 2023 season, and I think Mall of America was the perfect place for us to unveil the new uniforms for the Twins, and it was a fun event that day. So there's been all kinds of things over the years. I'm sure I'm missing 20 other ideas. We were going to once play an outdoor game here with a CEO that will go nameless that didn't ever happen, but it was going to be in the parking lot here at Mall of America. But the mall's I view the mall as much like I view the Twins. It's a community asset. It's an institution, and it's a must visit for people that are coming from elsewhere to come visit the Twin Cities. And for those of us that live here, it's one of those things that helps define us.
Absolutely. Well, so many visitors in the summer, they package all the Minnesota things together. They want to go to a Twins game. They want to come visit the mall. They want to go see a Saints game. They want to go, golfing, hiking, all the things. And we love working with all of our tourism partners to make that possible. So, Dan, I would love to hear from you with regards to the chair and home plate, because those are iconic photo ops now here at the mall. When you do your tours, are there fun stories or questions that you get from guests?
They are. I mean, there's a lot of fun stories, right? Which is, how long is the longest home run? Harmon Killebrew is 520 feet. And I always say that was before steroids. Harmon actually broke the bat on that home run, and I've read this online, so it's true. And they kept that broken bat in the clubhouse to stir the pine tar.
There it is.
In hopes to bring the next World Series to this stadium. It happened downtown, right?
That's right. 1987.
Two of them, which were awesome. But another fun thing that happened back then in the Twins clubhouse here at the stadium, there was a sauna for the team. And when the Beatles played their only concert in Minnesota in 1965, that was the first time they've ever had a sauna right in the Twins clubhouse.
Wow.
A lot of history
awesome.
here.
Yeah. It's funny when Harmon passed away, we held a memorial service at Target Field. and many luminaries came back to be part of it. One of which was Jim Thome, the great home run hitter who had really learned to admire Harmon before he joined the Twins, but then his season with the Twins in 2010 got to know Harmon. We wanted to mark where Harmon's home run would have landed had he hit it in target field, and it was way up till the second to the top row of the left field, what we call the U.S. Bank home run porch. Treasure Island home run porch. I apologize. And it just showed people, I think, in real life, how far Harmon hit that ball that he hit here on this site at Metropolitan Stadium.
It was a rocket, and he really was a hometown favorite here. So many Twins players that we treasured over the years.
And Harmon was very proud of the fact that home run was still marked here. He was a fan of Mall of America. We spent enough time together at events here and otherwise. So he loved having that chair up there. I know that was a big deal to him.
Yeah. Well, we will keep it up there. It was very important to us when we redesigned the theme park, when we had the architects working on the plans, especially when it was a site map that home plate was designated in that spot, and they could not realize how important that was. I'm like, no, that is historical. Locals, fans, they need to see that there, and people seek it out and they take photos with it, which is fantastic. Any other fun stories from the Metropolitan Stadium days or anything else that you'd want to share?
Well, obviously my stories of Met Stadium were when I was a little kid, because I never really worked there. I spent most of my working career in the Metrodome, which they've also now at U.S. Bank Stadium have marked home plate for where the Metrodome's home plate was. So you could actually go visit all three. No, I thought Met Stadium, was fantastic, and obviously you mentioned the Beatles. We just had an anniversary, the 60th year of their concert here. We're really proud to have Paul McCartney play Target Field, and now I know he's going to play U.S. Bank Stadium. So he's played all three. Actually played the Metrodome as well. But I think the fact that Met Stadium sits here is really, really important. That history, I think, matters to people, and I think you guys do a great job in celebrating it.
I love that. So when you look back to the early years, what were some of those skills that you acquired with all the different roles with the Twins that really led you to become the leader that you are today?
Well, I think, over time you have to, be willing to understand where you need to grow, what areas you can get better. I think as a leader, over time, I think I learned to maybe do more listening than talking. I think that's really important. I think secondly, you have to understand that as a leader, I think you have a responsibility to look out for others, and particularly those people within on your team to invest in their growth and development in terms of how they're going to be able to take that next step, whether that be in a succession plan or just whatever the role might be. And then I would say that the most important thing maybe later in my leadership journey, and COVID had a way of probably underscoring the humanity of all of the people on your team, and we all come from different places with maybe some different ideology, but in this divisive world, we all have to come together on one team. So really making a really concerted effort to really build those types of relationships that aren't so much rooted in the day-to-day work tasks, but more rooted in where somebody might be coming from. And I think that can pay off as a leader over time in terms of, building that level of rapport and empathy. And I think what you find is people are more willing to lean in when they have a level of trust. And that can only come from authentic, genuine type of relationship building.
Absolutely. So for those future sports professionals out there that want to get in the industry, what is your advice for them?
Well, you have to lean in, and you have to understand there's going to be fierce competition. I always say the good news is the sports business world is bigger than it's ever been, and it's only going to continue to grow. The bad news is there's more and more people wanting to be part of it, right? It's a magnet. And I just think people need to have a plan, and they have to understand that they have to find things within their story, within their journey that are going to differentiate them from that competition. And it's never a bad day to get started. I see it too often where people come to me very late in their college time, or maybe even after their academic journey where they're looking to break into sports, and it's possible to do that. I just think that the earlier you get started in building out a resume, building a portfolio, so to speak, with tangible work experience, that's going to pay. That's going to pay off. And then I'd say the last thing is there's no one linear path to doing it. Just like your story, Jill, my story is different, and whoever's story is going to be different. You have to lean into that story and be confident. But I encourage folks to take that leap of faith and have that confidence in what they have built, that foundation that they've built. That it's good enough, and all you need is a chance. All you need is an opportunity to get your foot in the door.
Absolutely. So what's next for you?
Joe, I'm going to spend time with you on Minnesota sports and events. I'm still obviously tied to the Twins. I care deeply about the people within the Twins and the brand and the organization. So time will tell how involved I'll be there. I've had some other interesting opportunities that have come up, both community-based, some more business-based. But I'm going to take a little bit of time to try to be smart about what I want to do and find ways to have impact, find ways to bring value. I care about Minnesota. I care particularly about downtown Minneapolis and the future of that community. So I'll find ways to lean in over time, but nothing I can announce here today on the podcast.
Well, congratulations on all your success throughout your entire career, and thank you for being such an amazing leader in this community.
Well, Joe, likewise to you. I admire everything you have done and built, and it's an honor to be on this show. And I look forward to future partnership with Mall of America.
I love it. Well, Dave, thank you. Dan, thank you. And that's going to do it for this episode of So Much More. So be sure to share this with baseball fans and sports fans and Mall of America fans. Share it with everybody that you know, because we love spending time with you. Be sure to tune in next time and share on all your favorite networks. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to So Much More, a Mall of America podcast. Subscribe wherever you find your favorite podcasts. This show is presented by Bloomington, Minnesota Travel and Tourism.